to wonder what the fuck I was thinking. This place is packed.
So I just got back from Blair Witch at Silver City. It's been out for a couple days now, and I was really looking forward to it. When I realized that the director was the guy that worked with the VHS movies, 1 and 2, my standards expectation went up once I realized who was making this film. And yeah, you know what? I like this. So, it all starts out a typical thing, you know. So, Buddy wants to find his big sister Heather, and so he's being a subject of a documentary by one of his classmates. So he's just studying his life, but then eventually they come upon this video that was being posted online by this guy called hc16. Like, really? Can you fucking come up with a better internet handle for like a movie? Like, Darknet 666. Probably is my biggest complaint about the movie, actually, now that I think about it. So you get the rundown, you meet all your characters, and you even get a view of a little showing off of the equipment, which is kind of like, you know, like earphones, GoPro with a drone, and all the tools that the director would use for his other VHS movies. But it kind of kept going on, and it was the same old fashioned as any other kind of found footage. And except the thing is about Darknet, when the group of investigators or documentary people want to that piece of popcorn in my mouth still. Gross. So after all that, they meet Darknet, and he's actually the guy who uploaded some found footage of his sister and other things found out in the forest there where the Blair Witch is said to be found. They get on in there and they do the typical things. They go out there and something's up, because Darknet, he just kind of says, "Oh, should we tell him?" It's like, bah, bah, bah. There's a little moment of like, there's something up now. There's something up, and they eventually cross this creek that goes into the stay out of the area at dark sign is actually posted by this area, by the locals, I'm going to assume. And so they get out there and they spend the night out there. Nothing really happens except for some really banging and some, like, what I thought was like shotgun sounds or something like that going off. And you know, I just thought maybe it was just some hunters or something like that. And eventually Darknet comes running back, and he explained, what the hell is all that and all that, blah 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 blah. What was those big sounds? Did you get that on tape? Blah 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 blah. And nothing happens, and they go back to sleep for the rest of the night, and they wake up and there's the little Blair Witch sticks, those things posted up all around, and it scares everybody else. It scares everybody else that at the camp. They eventually panic and all want to get on out, and eventually Darknet is exposed as the guy who put the stuff on out. So the mystery starts getting deeper, because people, they get lost in the forest. No fucking surprise, really. Like, no surprise at all. And you know, the strange just keeps coming on. The strange noises, the thunder cracking of what appears to be the Blair Witch whenever it's coming on out and about. Then it kind of gets deeper, and things, time starts shifting for the people. Kind of like in the Blair Witch Book of Shadows, how they had that weird distortion of perception in time between the different individuals. And that seems like what's happening in this one. It seems like the Blair Witch is actually affecting their thoughts, their minds, time even somehow in this area, because you can even see the progression of your protagonist throughout the movie, and eventually Darknet, and they kind of bump in, but it looks like he's got a beard and everything eventually at some point. So the time is really an important aspect of this, about how the Blair Witch's powers. Like when you look at the first one, it seemed like, you know, she was strong and had some influence and stuff like that, but you know what? It didn't have the sound effects that it truly number 2 has, or should I say, the Blair Witch. It was the sound of this film really made this really effective. It was very effective. The visualizations of the one thing I didn't like was the VHS style, was the editing between the cuts. It's kind of like a little static with the colors, and it's kind of like the breaks they did in some of the VHS movies, or whenever there's a thump, they kind of has like that. I'm sorry, but my cameras don't do that. Well, at least I'm not going to try it with that one. But let's stop talking about all that other shit. Let's get back to what I like to talk about. The storytelling of it. The storytelling was very effective. All the way through, it seemed consistently to a build up to this great intensity. And then it was just like, boom, it was silence. And I was just kind of thinking at that moment, when it's getting closer to the end, the great grand finale, there was just this silence, and it just took everything away. And then boom, you're back into this intensity. And then, you know, kind of like how this first one kind of ended, the second one, or I guess you could say it's the third one, ended the same fashion, just as effectively. Minimal sounds for the credits, just haunting bizarreness. I got up and I felt like, hey, this was a good movie. There's a lot of critics out there saying it is shit, but no, it was effective in every aspect of it. I was in a crowd full of people, like a whole bunch of teeny boppers. It was a Tuesday night, so it was considered cheap night. So yeah, there's a bunch of them there, and it kept they seem to be really into it, these this younger generation moviegoers. But yeah, Blair Witch, it's a good movie. Go out and see it while still in theaters, because you definitely want to take advantage of that sound system. It really helps to the effect of the film. Thank you. I am Jay, leader of Channel J.TV.